Nicholas, what is going on, my friend? I am pumped to have you on the podcast, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, no, me too, dude. Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, man, you and I got connected because, like I've met, so many incredible people in the relationships I've built throughout the years, being a part of a mastermind, dude, that's why I'm such a big advocate and proponent of immersing yourself in the environment of people that inspire you, that are just doing incredible things. And as I've gotten to learn more about you, and as I keep hearing your name amongst people that I respect and trust, I'm like, man, I got to have this guy on. So, again, man, it's awesome. I don't know how it's taken us so long to connect, but that's the
Yeah.
beauty of hosting a podcast and then being a part of communities is that you get to probably connect with people that you might not have otherwise met, man. So I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to this conversation.
No, me too. And that's such a good point. It's like whenever you think you know everybody, right? Or you do, and this is the purpose of these masterminds. You find that like the world is so big. It's like whenever you watch Shark Tank, like this company has done hundreds of millions. I've never heard of that company. How does a company,
Yeah.
how does a company make so much money and you've never heard of it? And I think,
Yeah.
relationships are a lot like that. The world is way bigger than we have any idea that it is.
Yeah, no, you're 100% spot on. And really what it does for me, man, is that it like if somebody has figured it out and somebody can accomplish, growing $100 million business or whatever it might be, that just tells you that it's possible. And it's sometimes it's just asking yourself the right question, having the right mindset. And so that's the aim of this particular podcast and this show is just to give people more tools, help them open their minds to different strategies. And speaking of that, man, you and I were kind of talking, and dude, you're a serial entrepreneur in the
Yeah.
truest sense. I know a lot of people put that on their Instagram bio, but as reading your bio and just from what I've heard from others about you, like you are the definition of a serial entrepreneur. So we
Thank
can
you.
take this particular podcast in so many different directions. But with the time that we have, I thought what we might be most beneficial for people listening is talking about marketing and lead gen strategies, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
obviously, as you know, that's universal,
Yeah.
regardless of what business people are in. You have something called the hour a day investor.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the concept behind the hour a day investor. Like, what does that mean exactly? And then
Yeah.
let's get into actual like practical strategies that people can basically hear from this podcast and then go implement in their business.
Absolutely. No, and I love that. So I just launched this course. It's completely free. It's available on the website at the top. I think if you go to free courses, so you guys know where to find it. And it's called the Hour a Day Investor. Now, the whole premise is if you were to spend only 1 hour a day working in your real estate investing business, what exactly should you be doing? Right. And how long should that take? So I actually mapped out an entire process. With this course, I give scripts, I give flow charts, and I give written out processes too. So you could actually follow a lot. It's like a board game. Actually, that's a great idea. Making it into a
That
board game.
is a damn good idea.
That's a great idea because a flow chart is basically a board game. Like if you actually think about it, right? You're going through the flow and your goal is to complete the game. Um, but I offer all these things to you guys, and you might ask yourself, why? Why do I give all this away for free? Well, I have a lead generation company. Okay. And what I do is I generate hot seller leads to my clients. Well, we've been in business for 8 years. I learned very quickly even if I give a client 20 leads and they don't know what to do or
Mhm.
do nothing or do it wrong, it doesn't matter that I just gave them 20 leads,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I created this system as a sidecar, and that's why I give it away for free too, because I'm like, hey, you need to know this. If you don't know this, you're not gonna find success, right? You might pay me, and yeah, I'll get a package, but I need you to find success so we have a longer relationship, right? Like I want you to be my best friend. I
Of
don't want you
course.
to be someone I speak to 3 months ago. And so the reason I created this whole system, and one thing that's unique about me is I was a restaurant manager for 13 years. Okay, so my approach, my style in my acquisition system is totally different than the average real estate investor.
Okay.
They're like low ball. If they say no, get off the phone with them. Like, that's the average course. My whole purpose is get them to fall in love with you. Show them you have integrity. Show them you have compassion. Show them you do what you say you were going to do. And then once you do that, when you give an offer that's lower than they expected, they're okay with it because they
Mhm.
already know you're a great guy. If they don't know you're a great guy, if they don't know those three things about you, then when you give that offer, they're like, I knew you were going to hit me with some bullshit. All right. So
Right.
I'm basically teaching investors how to get their sellers to fall in love with them
Yeah. Got
is one of my strategies.
I love that. And I want to dive further into like how people can get sellers to fall in love with them. But like, the analogy I think of, Nicholas, is like imagine if you gave the keys to like a brand new Ferrari to a 16-year-old that just got their driver's license. Like they're probably not gonna really know how to drive that thing. And so many investors are always focused on generating leads. The question is like, are you maximizing those leads? Do you have a follow-up system? How are you with conversions? Like there's so much more to just generating leads. It's what are you going to do with those leads? So,
Right. Right.
with that said, how are you getting? Because a lot of people that listen to this show are wholesalers, right? That are making offers on properties that are below market value, or they're fix and flippers and they need a certain margin. All real estate at the end of the day, it's either price or terms. You're either getting a really, really good price or you're getting amazing terms. So, how are you getting sellers to know, like, and trust you, to love you, so that you're in a position where you can help them and also get a deal so you can make some money?
Absolutely. So there's a couple things. I won't start too far back, but what we do is we generate the leads for you guys. Now, all of my team, we do everything out of like we're very kind, right? A lot of people say, "How many times do you call the leads?" We do everything to piss off the lead as least as possible. Some
Okay.
people say, "Do you guys double dial?" No, we don't double dial. It's like that's just yeah, they're gonna pick up and they're gonna be like, "What the hell do you want?" Right? That's what happens when you do certain things. And it's like, I want to first, it starts with sending over a happier lead because your strategies aren't pissing them off in the
Hmm.
first place. So
Okay.
I'll say it starts there. So the next thing is now my team, we speak to them. We're very polite. Our lead gen call is almost like a survey.
Hmm.
It's not like, hey, we want to give you a cash offer, a low offer. We're investors. We want to buy for as low as possible. Like we're not prefacing any kind of negative connotations in their head, right? Do
Yep.
you want to sell? Tell us a little bit about that. How much were you thinking? Are you open to terms? Well, what are you guys going to do with the property? Well, we could do a number of things with the property. We're not sure. We want to make sure we come up with the best solution possible, right? We're not like, oh, low ball offer because investors now are so savvy with novations and creative financing and working with realtors. So it's like, I don't put my clients into a box, right?
Yeah. Right.
So that's the first part. So we're not pissing off the lead by bringing up anything that could potentially trigger that. That's
Okay.
number one.
Okay.
Number two is we get the lead, we send them over to the very second it's generated. Now, I recommend you call the lead. If you're in houses, I always say within 30 minutes max, right? Really, ideally,
The sooner the
one
better. Yeah.
hour. Yeah, the sooner the right. Absolutely. And the reason why is because we know they're in the mood to talk to strangers because they just spoke to us.
Hmm.
Okay. So that call, that's not a super aggressive call. Hey, yeah, okay, 150. No, that's not that call. So I'm under the impression. So well, I'll start over a little quick. We want to treat sellers like we're dating them.
Okay.
Okay. I wouldn't start a date with a kiss,
Right. Or
right?
asking to marry asking to marry them, right?
That's well, right. That is exactly right. It's like, well, how would you do? You'd sit down, you'd enjoy yourself, you'd have great conversation. At the end of that, now we have trust, right? Now we have a
Mhm.
little bit of trust. Oh, maybe it's okay to give him a hug. Maybe it is okay to kiss him before we go. So when we go in with that offer, we're pushing the relationship further along than it actually is. Okay. You should have certain foundational markers in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So I say that first call, it's a real friendly call. Hey, how's it going? I see you just spoke to my partner, Sherry. That'll be my cold caller. My partner, Sherry, about 123 Sycamore Street. Oh, yeah, yeah, I sure did. Oh, great. Well, Sherry told me you might be interested in selling, but why don't you tell me how did you plan on doing that?
Hmm.
Okay. That's such a ninja ass question.
It is. It opens up so many because it just opens the door for dialogue and conversation. Now they're going to tell you their specific needs, wants, and desires.
That's right. And now it's up to us to now either go with their desires or now convert them to something that might work better, right?
Yeah.
Whether
Ask,
that's,
do me a favor, ask that question again because I want people to, what's the question? Because I want people to write that down. That's something that you guys need to take notes on.
yeah, it's a big single sentence. And what it is it is Sherry told me you may be interested in selling. What, but why don't you tell me how did you plan on doing that?
I love it. I love it.
They're going to throw up all, they should talk for the next 5 minutes straight.
I love
Oh, well, up the street sold for top dollar and it was fully remodeled. Oh, great. Is your house fully remodeled?
it.
Yeah, it is. Okay, great. Well, now I know how to approach this lead a little bit better.
Yeah.
Oh, a tree fell on the house during the last hurricane and we didn't have insurance and we've been fucking dealing with mold and all this shit. Oh, okay. Well, great. Now I know how to approach that house, right?
Mhm.
And so they'll tell you where to go. Now that first conversation, that's just a meet and greet. And we want to act like we're professionals, in my opinion. Okay. So my opinion, here's what we do. Well, great. Well, hey, thank you. We have our follow-up call. You read my notes from our call. You have your points you talk about with them. Well, great. And another thing I recommend before I move on is so many people qualify a lead only by how distressed they are.
Okay.
And that is so stupid. Okay.
Elaborate. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to qualify a lead based on how easy they are to talk to. Okay. If they're easy to talk to, we're eventually going to find out everything. No one's going to tell you how distressed they are at all. I used to have a joke about my father when he was still around, and it was, I don't even know what he's going through, and he's the closest person to me on this planet.
Mm,
Why would I expect a seller to divulge to me what they're going through?
yeah.
Right.
Good point.
So instead, if we look for energy as a motivator rather than distress, we're going to find ourselves in a lot better situations because if that person's easy to talk to, then after your second call, you are going to know
Yeah.
what's going right? And then you are going to be able to figure out what's happening. So I always say, if they're yelling at you, screaming at you on the phone, hang up on that person. I'm not telling you to deal with that guy. You know what?
Okay.
That guy is distressed, but you know what? He's going to make your life a living hell over the next 3 months.
That's
And
interesting, Nicholas, man. I've been in this business a long time, and by the way, I don't dispute or disagree with what you're saying. I don't know very many people that teach and coach. Hey, qualify a lead based on the energy and the flow of the conversation, how easy it is to communicate with them. So I think that's really unique, and that's you talked about your kind of approach is a little bit different. That's
okay.
one thing right out of the gate that just jumps out at me because you're right. Most people I think qualify leads based on the seller's asking price or based on their motivation. I don't know that I've ever heard anybody qualify leads based on the energy of the conversation.
Right. Yeah, but if we really think about it, I mean, let's go back to dating. They could look great, but if their energy stinks, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and so it's like the energy it's the chemistry between us. And I think we can all agree that, when the chemistry is strongest, that's when good things happen. And I like this approach too because it's coming from a place where we're doing that because we respect that they're not going to tell us their issues. People are ashamed of the condition they've put these houses in. They are living in filth. They are
Yeah.
not going to come out and tell you, oh man, let me tell you, I've completely neglected this house. Okay. It is not worth a penny. All right. There's sewage and I'm a hoarder. Like no one talks like that. Right. So they're not
Interesting.
going to be that forthcoming. So if we are looking for that, my whole point is we are looking for disappointment. We are constantly going to be disqualifying leads, as well. So that's kind of my premise. Now, this is also coming from a cold caller and a text messenger. So I want to preface this
Yes.
because right. These leads need to be worked. And that's what I'm getting at,
Okay.
right? It's like direct mail is different. Direct mail comes in. Yes,
It's
buy my ugly house.
it's
Yes,
warm.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. They
Yeah.
had a big call to action. I'm calling some guy while he's sitting around in his underwear watching Charles in Charge or I Love Lucy, right?
Wow, you took it back to the 80s, Charles in charge. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
that
glad
tells
you
me that we're around the same age range, by the way, because I don't know how many people listening are gonna pick up on that reference. Maybe some will, but like, yeah, that's old school.
yeah, you're welcome. I know. And I'm glad you got that.
Yeah, I did.
But we have to think about why my approach is what it is too, right? Now, I still think my strategy works on every lead source out there.
Uh-huh.
right? And I still think I even tell pros that come into my program, watch this course. You're going to learn something. I'm not saying change your whole system. If it's working for you, it's working for you. But
Right.
if you watch this and you get one nugget that helps you close two more deals, and the course is only about an hour long as
Yeah.
well. But it starts with that call, that warm and fuzzy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to tell them, hey, look, so um, here's what I'm going to do over the next couple of days. I'm going to do some online research. And if this property is right for me, I'm going to make an offer on it. Okay. Well, what's that offer going to be? I don't know. I haven't done the online research yet. I have no idea. Right. So then you're like, okay, well, is it okay if I call you in 2 days? Could we set an appointment for 2 days from now? Hey, yeah, let me get your email. Okay, great. So on this call, I'm going to have the offer ready for you. We're going to move to the next step. And then you set the time and you actually call them.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you had a very pleasant first call. You came in like an expert. You were very easy to talk to. You scheduled another appointment. They got the calendar invite. You did what you said you were going to do by sending it. You show up, you do what you say you're going to do again. And what I recommend doing here is I recommend having the offer queued up, ready to go. We just got their email. Hey, get them on the phone. This is where things get ninja, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. We get them on the phone. Hey, yeah, hey, how's it going? Hey, yeah, I just sent the official offer over. Well, you want to pull up your email for me real quick? Now what we're doing, let's think of what we're doing here. What we're actually doing is we're taking a tabletop close that would normally happen person to person and we're making it virtual.
That's right. And
Okay.
it sounds like you're doing it over a 3 call close, if that's right, because you have your cold caller, because your
Yep.
company is the one that's cold calling, generating the lead. You're
Yep.
sending it over to your client. In this case, let's just say the person listening. They would then set up a follow-up call after they do the online. So it's
Their
a
call.
3 call close essentially.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And the whole theory is you're by that third call, your relationship is there to make a lower offer, right?
Okay.
And one thing I always say is this is a great line. Even a good offer too early is a bad offer.
That quote right there, I think addresses and speaks to the follow-up question I had for you because there's a lot of people out there that teach, hey, if you get them on the phone and you build rapport with them, you start to develop this relationship, you start to, a lot of sales teach us to ask impact questions, to dig into the pain, to really discover what's their true motivation, then follow up with picture perfect questions, getting them to see what life looks like once they sell the property and they no longer have this problem. You tie your solution, i.e., your offer, to solving that pain point. So a lot of sales teach us that. And I know a lot of people teach do that on that initial call after you've kind of taken them through the sales process. But
Right.
what I'm hearing for you is you do it on the third call. Do you always recommend, Nicholas, that people, no matter how motivated they are, no matter how much they dig into pain, do you always recommend that they schedule a follow up so that you can do research? Or are there instances in which you're able to pull up some comps online when you're on the phone with them, give them a ballpark, and try to get something in writing on that second call?
So, I mean, nothing I say, in my opinion, is really to be set in stone, right? I try to teach it to people as like a baseline to get them to actually take action
Uh-huh.
and see a system that makes sense, right? Well, a lot of people that might be nervous about these calls, when they hear my system, they go, I can do that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do that. So the answer to your question is definitely do whatever works best. Now, the seller, if they're in a rush, you're going to be the first to know. Okay. And if they're in a rush, you need to absolutely move at their pace. That I will 100% agree. So, one thing I'll touch on real quick that I learned from my restaurant career is there's three kinds of people on this planet. Okay. There's fast, there's friendly, and there's exact. Okay.
Hmm.
The,
Okay.
the fast person just wants you to move fast. They don't give a fuck if you're friendly or you're exact.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you respecting their time? Let's go. Let's go. The friendly person doesn't care if you're fast or you're exact. Are you having a good conversation with me?
Yeah.
Right. Is this fun? Are we being friendly enough? Right. And then there's the exact person who doesn't care about friendliness or speed. But if you have one number wrong, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Detail oriented. Yeah.
And
Facts and
it's
figures.
important, and it's important for us to know who we're dealing with at all times. So I'll preface that by saying that if you're dealing with the fast person, you respect their speed. If you're
Yeah.
dealing with the friendly person, you respect their pace. And if you're dealing with an exact person, you respect their math. right?
That's really good.
And so just follow that system in kind of what I'm saying. But what I like to try to do is I want to be on the phone. I do think making a verbal offer of some sort with houses is wise. Okay. But when I'm on the phone, I want them to have that offer experience with me.
Okay.
So one thing we've learned, and this is why in-person closing works so well, is because when you're, oh, well, it's $50,000 less. Well, you're standing right. If you weren't there and they were sitting there with their wife, they'd be like, damn it, honey, they got us again.
Yeah.
Those damn investors, right? They're going to have this huge emotional response and they're going to be harder to calm down. If we're right there and they have that response, they're automatically going to be more regulated.
Yeah.
Okay. So my whole purpose is more like emotional intelligence based. It's not perfect all the time. Sometimes you'll never get them back or they won't book that call with you, but I recommend trying to be present with them when they get
Okay.
the call
Okay.
is one thing. I mean, it's worth a shot if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But yeah, so
I, I, I
that's how that works.
I was gonna say, Nicholas, I think one thing that's super important, it sounds like with your system is like I learned something years ago that's so important is always set if it's a 2 or 3 call close or whatever it might be, always set a meeting from the meet. Always set it right. And so I think it's super important because otherwise what you want to avoid, in my opinion, tell me if you disagree, is you want to play the avoid the phone tag game and
Right.
following up in the voicemails, and you don't want to chase, you want to attract. And so I think it's really important that if you're going to follow this system, you set a meeting, make sure you get buy-in, make sure that you're
That's right.
sending a calendar
Permission.
invite. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a form of permission, right?
Right.
It's like, hey, it's like, are you okay if I follow? You're basically saying, are you okay if I follow up with you in two
Yeah.
days? So it's like, and once they feel like they give you permission, their chances of answering that phone are going to skyrocket.
Right.
Um, and so I highly, and then when you follow up with them, you're not some asshole calling out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's they don't answer. You're like, hey,
Hmm.
hey, I was just reaching out for our scheduled appointment. If you need to reschedule, no biggie. I'm flexible. I'm available for the rest of the day. Right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom. And then now at least it's not like, God, this guy, he's breaking my boundaries over here. I told him not to bother me. So I think and it's a customer
Yeah.
service approach. And
Right.
then if that doesn't work, then we go to badgering them at random times of the day. Then we put them in like the super follow-up system. But let's start by
Yeah.
leaning hard into the relationship.
Got
Yeah.
it. You bring up follow up, and obviously follow up is critical to success in any business, I would say. What are some of the best strategies that you guys deploy when it comes to like maximizing conversions and following up after that initial contact? Now, granted, your particular company and your service, your job is to generate the lead, call the lead, and then hand it over. For somebody who might be doing this on their own, talk to us about like effective follow-up strategies and like what do those sequences and touch points look like?
Cool. So I'll bring up two. One's before they say they want to sell, and the other one's after they say they want to sell.
Okay.
So pursuing a lead in general, here's what we've learned. You don't want to call a lead more than 3 times. Okay.
Hmm.
The stats drop drastically. The first time you get the most leads. The second time, you still get a good amount of leads. The third time starts to really suck. Everyone who's going to answer the phone by now already answered the first 2 times you called, right? Now the third time and beyond, a lot of people go, I heard you got to call people 6, 7 times. No, do not call people 6 and 7 times. You're wasting a lot of labor. I stare at the stats every day. Okay. And so once that third time hits, I really recommend twice, third time at most. Once that third time hits, give them at least a month to cool down. And
When
then
you
when
say
you
when you say hits, do you mean like they don't pick up or you get a voicemail or
That's
something?
correct. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No answer. No
Got it.
answer.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you finally get there and they still haven't answered, I do not keep calling them. So
Yeah.
what we do is we call everyone 2 to 3 times and we text message everyone once.
Okay.
Okay. And we only reply to positive text messages. Okay. So we don't do a text follow-up sequence. Again, I don't want to send you an annoyed lead. I don't want to send you someone who's pissed off. I don't want to do that. So we lightly nudge everybody and then we back off. And
Okay.
then I say wait at least 30 days for a follow-up and buy new phone numbers in the dialer. So that way the same phone number isn't popping up. So that's before the lead.
Mm. Okay.
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 Then we have, okay, lead comes in. I can't get him back. I hear it all the time. I can't get him back on the phone. Okay. So here's what I tell all these clients. I would call them, and I create these rules because I think it's important for us to have standards in our business and to know if we actually do give up, that we put the work in before we gave up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So systems and processes allow us to know that we did our best every time. Okay. So my system that I tell people is 18 touches over 6 days or over 2 weeks. Okay. So call them, they don't answer, we leave a voicemail. After the voicemail, we text every time.
So that's
Every,
three touches right there. That's day one.
that's right. That's right.
Okay.
And we have to do both. Voicemails are really cool right now. People can actually, we've all probably experienced that people can answer while you're leaving a voicemail right now.
Yep. That's right.
And it's a new feature on Apple. Hey, I was calling about the property you might have for sale. They're going to see it like a live text message
That's
coming
right.
in.
You'll see the transcript basically.
That's right. And they even changed that. I actually confuse voicemails with text messages now
Yeah.
because voicemails show up like a text. They're
Right.
so smart. Then text them. Hey, this was just Alex with you just spoke to Sherry about the property. I was just following up with you
Mm.
about that. Boom. That's text number one. Then do that 6 times. Okay. So
When you
each
say
one,
6 times, you mean 6 days? 6 days straight?
so I recommend at least 3 days a week for 2 weeks is what I recommend.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Again, that way they're not super aggravated, but they're now, and don't be discouraged by having to follow up, right? If you have to follow up with someone, that means that the other investors may have quit trying to follow up with them. That's
Yeah.
one way to look at it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, when you find a difficult seller or someone who's difficult to reach, don't always get discouraged. You can say, you know what, my competition quit before they got to where I'm about to get to. So
That's right.
that's one thing I recommend.
That's
Um,
right.
then now at the end of that 6 day sequence, this is from Grant Cardone. I'll give him all the credit. Um, it's send them a video text message.
I love those.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, what's up? This is the last you're going to hear from me. I am so sorry. I was not trying to disturb you. I was reaching out because I was looking into this property, but judging by the looks of it, I don't think you're interested in selling anymore.
Yeah.
If that changes, I'm right here. I'd love to work with you. I'd at least love to be at the top of the list. If anything else happens, give me a shout. Boom,
Yeah.
and then it's like video text. And then, I mean, you could keep going if you want it, if you want to, but I recommend doing that before we go, hey, you know what? Let's put that on the back burner, maybe throw it into a sequence, that text once a month or something, and then you move on with your time.
Yeah, man, that's so good. I feel like we could talk about so many different things, but you touched on cold calling and SMS, text message marketing.
Yeah.
It sounds like those two, that's like your bread and butter when it comes to marketing strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing we do is we offer American callers, real Americans, not expatriates or people in South America with light accents. We offer everyone that is on the American team is right here in the United States.
Mhm.
And then I offer foreign callers as well. And then I offer text messaging
Okay.
too.
Okay. Got it. Which, by the way, guys, if you guys go to alexpardo.com/lead mining, alexpardo.com/lead mining, Nicholas and his team, by the way, you guys can also use the coupon code Pardo. That'll save you, I think it's going to give you a 10% bonus on your order. So, what you guys do is essentially you generate the leads, you call the leads, and you transfer the warm lead over to the person. Essentially,
That's right.
that's what you guys do?
Yeah, that's right. We email our clients a lead or we push it to their CRM the very second it's generated.
Okay.
That's right.
Dude, that's huge. And guys, if you guys go to alexpardo.com/lead mining, Nicholas touched on it earlier. You actually give away free courses that walk people through like, hey, here's exactly like basically what we've been talking about in this podcast, but on steroids.
Yeah.
Here's exactly how you need to go through the process, right? And you were saying earlier how you provide scripts and training and like elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you go on the website at the top, it says free courses. If you
Mhm.
get in there, the course with the scripts and the flow chart is called the Hour a Day Investor course.
Right.
And I do have 7 of them. So you'll see all 7 of them. I have an onboarding course for all new clients. You can feel free to watch that. That's pretty ninja. That tells you how to pick the best markets and stuff like that. And then I have the Hour a Day Investor course. And that's one has all the downloads in it.
Right.
And I walk you through the whole thing from lead gen to disposition. as well, and strategies on how to do that. And I also cover both strategies in that course, land and houses, because
Okay.
a lot of my clients do both.
Right, right. But guys, here's the thing. Generating leads is generating leads in marketing. Like, and so many people struggle because they either they start marketing and then they get a bunch of leads and they don't have the systems and the structure and the people and they just turn off the marketing. And that's one of those things. I think that's a mistake. I think you always need to have your marketing department generating new leads and opportunities, and working with Nicholas's company. Like, that's exactly what they do. So bro, this has been awesome. I feel like there's so many other things I want to ask you, but just out of respect for your time, and maybe what we'll do, dude, is we'll have you on for a part two
Yeah,
if
that'd be great.
you're open to that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that people can do right now with some of the information you've shared, or maybe things we haven't had an opportunity to get into, when it comes to just immediately improving and impacting their marketing, whether they decide to work with you or not? Like, is there
Yeah.
anything? And I realize that's a general, but like, is there any? If you had to boil it down to one or two or three specific things that people can do within the next 24 hours to just immediately get results on the marketing they're currently doing, regardless of what that is there
Right.
anything you would point to and say, hey, do this?
Yeah, so absolutely it's your KPIs, right? That's the first thing that came up for me, the way you worded that question. Your KPIs are everything. I talk to a lot of people all the time, and they don't look as good as you think they might, right? But we need to know what our numbers are. How much
Yeah.
are we spending on our current lead gen process? And if it's not a lot of money, then how much time are you spending on it? Maybe you're your own cold caller, and that's great too. I will say one of the courses I offer in mine is a cold calling course.
Okay.
So if any of you guys did want to freshen up on cold calling, that's how I train all my employees. I
Mm.
filmed that video like 5 years ago, so you're going to get to see little baby Nick in there.
Ah.
But I highly recommend checking out. But even if you're your own employee, calculate your time on how much you're spending on there. The other thing I would do is I would look at your subscriptions, batch dialer, Mojo, skip tracing, list pulling. Add everything up. So many people think, oh, well, I have a $3 an hour VA doing cold calling for me. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not
You gave
factoring
that.
in the cost of goods sold, basically. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, you just gave that $2 an hour VA $1,000 worth of skip trace data, right? And then what script are they using? How good is that working? A lot of people don't know there's a problem in their business because they're just, well, he's doing the work. Well, is he doing the work? Well, what's happening? Yeah, I know you're only paying him $200 a week,
Yeah.
but on top of all your other subscriptions, he's about $1,500 a month, right? And so really analyzing your KPIs is very important because then you're going to see where you need to grow. So I'll just give a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Let's say you get 20 leads. Okay. We want to know how much those 20 leads cost you. And let's say you've gotten 100 leads. Well, we want to know how much every 20 leads cost you. So you can start having your averages out, right? Well, every 20 leads, I'm paying $800. Okay, great. Well, let's take a look. How does this measure up to last month? How much do we pay per lead last month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then let's track our appointments. How many appointments are coming out of those 20 leads? All right. How many contracts are being sent out of those appointments? And then how many of those contracts are being signed? If you track that data, you will see the true effectiveness. So if you're already doing something, the best way you can take control is by checking these statistics. And
Yeah.
then it's going to tell you where your problem is.
That's it.
Maybe you're going to sending out a shitload of contracts and no one's signing it. Well, we need to do a better job on maybe that third call that like we talked about, right? Or maybe we're getting a bunch of leads and we can't get them back on the phone and our acquisition manager is quitting after 2 calls rather than 18 touches, like we spoke about. So I would say you could take the exact things we talked about today, find the breakdown in your system, and then work on that breakdown if it
Yeah.
exists.
Dude, that's gold right there. The data tells a story. The question is, are you tracking the data, and then do you know how to read the data and what's it telling you?
Right.
So I love that, man. That's such a valuable tip. The one other thing I will add to that, and this is a mistake I made early on, is I would recommend tracking these KPIs by marketing channel. Sometimes I talk
Absolutely.
to people about their KPIs and they give me like their global KPIs,
Mhm.
but that doesn't tell me like, okay, what about direct mail? What about cold calling? What about this? So track the KPIs by marketing channel. That's a big, big tip that I didn't know early on. I was just tracking global KPIs. And then sometimes, Nicholas, I would make decisions based on these global KPIs and it would start to like actually negatively affect one of the marketing channels because the data was giving me like, it was
It's
telling me
too
the wrong
vague.
story essentially.
Yeah, it was too vague. And I see that I run my own Facebook ads. I see that all the time. And I go, Well, the one with the lowest cost per click performs the worst. And here I am. I'm like, the highest cost per click. And I'm like, this one's costing me $9. Yeah, but it made me $40,000.
Mm,
Well, but it's like, well, if I looked at it from a different angle, I would turn that one off because
yeah,
$9 per click is a shitload of cost per click.
that's
But
massive.
the one person that's clicking it is way better than the 50 other people that click the other thing, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's such a good point is we have to look at our sub-segmented data and what's actually happening. That per marketing channel, and there's one metric I left out. How much did we make?
yeah.
Right.
It's huge.
And that's the final thing. So we have leads, appointments, contracts sent, contracts signed, profit,
Uh-huh.
right? And then we divide all that by the amount of leads we get, and then now we have a standard in our business. Well, the
Yeah.
average cost per lead is $100 per. Why'd it go up to 170, Bob? Huh? 170 is on it. We've been at 100. So like looking at it so micro will really change your life.
Yeah. The only other one thing that I would encourage people eventually to start tracking is of all of your closings, how many actually gave you a testimonial, right? And that was one of the KPIs that we measured by. Did we get
Wow.
a testimonial? Did we get a video review? Were they happy with our service, et cetera? So,
Yep.
guys, we can go on and on. Obviously, Nicholas has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to just marketing. We didn't even talk about team building and so many other things that just he's experienced and a lot of wisdom he has from his years being an entrepreneur. But if you guys are ready and you want to start filling your pipeline with motivated seller leads without having to have or be the marketing engine, head over to alexpardo.com/lead mining. You can use the code Pardo and you guys will get a discount if you decide to work with Nicholas and his team. So alexpardo.com/lead mining. And then one of the best things is just the free courses, like courses and
Absolutely.
training that people charge thousands of dollars for, basically giving it to you for free. Right.
Absolutely.
So really appreciate you, man. This
Yeah.
was this was awesome, super insightful. And really, guys, just take one or two nuggets, right? I think Nicholas alluded to this earlier. It's like you're one insert the blank away from it having a big impact on your life and business,
Right.
right? So one little nugget that you got from this podcast implemented, right? Speed of implementation can make all the difference in the world. So, guys, we got some exciting news about the podcast, which we're going to be rebranding. I will talk about that more in an upcoming episode, but make sure that you're subscribed so that you're notified every single Monday when new shows come out. And I will continue to source the best guests like Nicholas to come on here and share with you practical, actionable steps that can have an impact on your business. So have an incredible one, Nicholas. I appreciate you, brother. And I will see
Yeah.
you in March, by the way. So looking
Yeah.
forward.
I can't wait. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.